Tell us a little bit about what you saw and being able to relay that message to Cora when you watched Kimbrel pitch and kind of help out so he wasn't tipping his pitches.
So tipping pitches, we hear about it all the time.
People at home understand what tipping pitches is all about.
It's amazing.
And that's remarkable.
Alex, no one wants to work anymore was a fun joke for me for a couple of years until it hit too close to home. And you went away for 3 weeks and you left me alone with this podcast and you didn't want to work anymore. And then you got back and you were like, you know what? Pretty tired. Let's just run an old episode. No one wants to work anymore.
It's true, as they shouldn't, to be very clear.
How do you feel about inciting my reactionary conservative pivot? You being the inciting incident?
Right.
My small business partner.
You becoming pro-boss.
Just kidding. Look at this. Proof of life. You're back.
I'm here. I'm living.
Do you want to read the top headline on the New York Times website to prove to people that you're really here and you're okay?
I am holding up a newspaper right now.
For all the people watching on video, which is the thing we do now. How long before we have to pivot to video? Let's get really into the thick of it. Let's get into the hard questions.
This is just, I don't know. We ask ourselves this every 3 years, right? Us and the rest of the media industry. Pivot towards, pivot away.
Is this like universal healthcare, you know? Every couple of years we have like a conversation about it and then we decide to not do it.
Yes, pivoting to video is our universal healthcare. That's what I've always said.
In that it would save lives if we did it, but we just don't feel like it?
Yes, exactly. That it would be a strain on our resources, and frankly, who's going to pay for it?
The more we try to play this out, it's foolproof.
It actually is.
Bulletproof. It does kind of feel like universal
Look,
healthcare.
everyone wants a pony until someone has to pay for the pony. I'm just saying.
Is that what people say about universal healthcare?
That's what HRC said in her book.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was just thinking this morning about I'm just chilling in Cedar Rapids. You remember that?
Yeah, you remind me of it every few weeks, I think.
Top 5 HRC quotes go.
Do tweets count?
Yeah. Only if they're signed from her, though, you know, because otherwise they're sent by the staffers.
Okay, right. That's fair. I was going to go happy birthday to this future president.
Pokemon go to the polls.
No, we're not relitigating 2016. What is this?
We're kind of always relitigating 2016.
That's just every day of our lives. You wake up and it's November 7th or whatever.
I bet when you were away in Italy, you had to relitigate 2016 a couple times when people found out you were American. They probably wanted to talk to you about politics, especially in an election year. People love to do that over there.
People do love to do that, and no one did. I was frankly a little offended because I was wearing my American heart on my sleeve, right? Going up to people and prompting them.
You did or did not bring your RFK Jr. was right all along t-shirt?
I unfortunately left it at home, but this is a great week to break it back out. I just want to say.
Because of what?
Look, I just want to say I too have been in an emotional relationship with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And you know what that is? I'm emotional that no owners have donated to him.
They must have done it through some shadow pack because you know somebody had to get Bobby pilled. There's I'm
Bobby pilled. I'll tell you that much.
I was driving around in Pennsylvania yesterday, here for the weekend at my parents' house, and the people who had their RFK Jr. yard sign on one of the main roads around here, still going strong. They have not been affected by the whale carcass. They have not been affected by the, what was it that he left in Central Park? Bear?
It was a bear, yeah.
The dead bear. Yes, the dead bear. They have not been affected by that. They have not been affected by anything that might have happened in the last week or so. And they've not been affected by the fact that he did drop out of the presidential race and endorse Donald Trump. Nope. He's still going strong. Still going strong. You have to fight for an independent America.
You do.
Okay? RFK. And also there's a ton of signs. A lot of Trump Vance signs, which this is an interesting place of the world. Ton of signs for local House of Representatives member Brian Fitzpatrick advertising him as the number one most independent politician in the nation.
Wow.
The nation, Alex, the most independent in the nation.
So is he a Democrat or a Republican?
He's a Republican.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Although on my bike ride this morning, I passed a sign that said he was endorsed by the AFL-CIO. So what the fuck is going on here?
Intrigue. Horseshoe theory is real once again.
Do you think I should knock on doors and ask people whether they're decided or not? And if they're undecided, write an article about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we should have them on the podcast.
Well, speaking of politics, I wanted to start this week by sharing a quote with you.
Right. We have not recorded in 3 weeks. I just want to say very little has happened in the last 3 weeks.
Hey, listen, I was listening to another podcast, and they were talking about noted Bull Durham actor Tim Robbins, a favorite of mine. Is he a favorite of yours? Do you like Tim Robbins' work?
I do. He's from I Think You Should Leave, right?
Please don't slander Tim Robbins. Tim Robbins, notorious leftist. I guess notorious has a negative connotation. Famous leftist. Did date Susan Sarandon, who's the other famous Hollywood leftist that we all love to blab on about every 4 years. The number one Bernie bro, Susan Sarandon.
Every 4 years. Speak for yourself.
You are the moderator of the Susan Sarandon Reddit subreddit. How's that going? A lot of really good work being done there.
Yeah, there is.
Okay,
Tim Robbins.
Tim Robbins. I was listening to this podcast and they were talking about his politics because they were talking about a movie that he was involved in that had to do with a campaign. And they were talking about his real life politics. And so I was like, oh, that's interesting. You know, I knew he was a more progressive member of Hollywood. I had that somewhere in my mind, but I didn't really, I wanted to go see how progressive we talk in here. So I went to his Wikipedia page where I go to learn all information about everyone's politics. The subheader on Wikipedia, politics.
Right. I mean, that's where we're different, right? Because I go to Conservapedia to see their take on the politics.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah.
What was the website that we kept? Private browser. What was the website that we kept going to find out if companies were woke? What was that one called? Do you remember this?
Yeah, I do. Was it like buy woke free or something like that?
Yeah. Good. That was good.
All right.
That should have been on our bingo card. Maybe next year. Okay, so it was talking about his various progressive political views, and then it got to the 2003 invasion of Iraq. Robbins opposed the 2003 invasion of Iraq. In 2003, a 15th anniversary celebration of Bull Durham, familiar with it, at the National Baseball Hall of Fame was canceled by Hall of Fame President Dale Petroski. Petroski told Robbins that his stance helped to, quote, undermine the U.S. position, which could put our troops in even more danger. Now, that seems like a weird story, but not worthwhile starting the podcast with it. Here's where it gets most fun to me. Bull Durham co-star Kevin Costner defended Robbins and Sarandon. Quote, I think Tim and Susan's courage is the type of courage that makes our democracy work. Pulling back this invite is against the whole principle about what we fight for and profess to be about. Kevin Costner, Tim Robbins, and Susan Sarandon taking direct aim at the conservative values of the National Baseball Hall of Fame. How did I not know about this? Number one. And number two, do you want to do an 8-part podcast series about this quote?
I do. Kevin Costner. Our line is open. Tim Robbins, Susan Sarandon. Maybe we get the gang back together, like a 35th anniversary, whatever we're on, right? It's our mea culpa on behalf of the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Can we talk about how they canceled the 15th anniversary celebration of Bull Durham because Tim Robbins was against the war in Iraq? That was too controversial of a political view. Yeah, right, exactly. That was too controversial of a political view to even allow them to come in there and talk about a movie.
I mean, my favorite part of it is that quote supposedly undermines the U.S. position and puts our troops in danger. For sure, dude. Yeah.
What the hell? Well, that's crazy. Then again, the more things change, the more they stay the same. If we were trying to honor the 15th anniversary of Moneyball in a couple years, and we found out that Brad Pitt dedicated the next 2 years of his life to freeing Palestine, they would cancel that celebration.
Yeah. You know who we bring on is Javier Bardem. I guess he has to just star in a baseball movie first.
Please make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Javier Bardem is one of my guys.
And Dennis Quaid as well.
Well, what do you think he thought about the war in Iraq? Didn't go far enough.
God. Wow, we're coming out all cylinders firing right now. This is what the people come here for.
I'm working on getting that haircut that Bardem has in No Country for Old Men. Every morning I'm going to wake up and straighten my hair. Look like the prince from Shrek.
It's a look.
What's his name again in Shrek? Lord Farquaad.
Lord Farquaad.
One of the greatest films ever made.
No argument there. Watched that on my wedding weekend.
That's true. The night before, right?
And then I think watched Shrek 2 the day after. Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Shrek 2 the day after was even funnier.
Just modern stories about romance and love.
Incredible naming conventions in that series where they go from Shrek 2 to Shrek the Third, and then they go to Shrek Forever After. Great work being done at the DreamWorks Corporation. Okay, we're going to talk about all the baseball stuff that we missed in the past few weeks. Let's be honest, we're not going to talk about all of it. Just the stuff that we feel like talking about. We're going to talk about
like other Iraq war quotes.
That's a heavy hitter Wikipedia page. Quotes about the Iraq War. Noted Kamala Harris supporter Dick Cheney's got to have a few.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the Twins cutting one of their minor league catchers for throwing a baseball game. We're going to talk about the end of the Oakland Coliseum. Or not, maybe. I don't really know. We're going to talk about the Mariners bringing back Jerry Dipoto. MLB sponsoring their postseason helmets. And of course, we're going to talk about Tipping Pitches hitting bingo for the 2024 season. But before we do all of that, I am Bobby Wagner.
I am Alex Baisley.
And you are listening to Tipping Pitches.
Bobby, I was in Italy the last couple weeks, as you know, and I was trying to do my best to unplug a little bit, and yet before I had even left the Milan airport, I simply had to text you because I saw not one but two Oakland A's hats on folks in the Milan air. I had not left the gates, and I felt a little trolled.
This is an incredible point in the favor of simulation theory. Because we've literally never been to a baseball game where there hasn't been an A's hat. Just a guy in an A's hat.
Yes.
And it's not you. It's always just another guy. And oftentimes it's like when you're walking up the ramp into the game. You know,
yes.
They don't wait
right.
until the third inning for you to see the guy in the A's hat. He's just there right
it's
away.
The first thing you see.
It's like they're FBI operatives or something. You know, they're like, what should I do? I should throw on an A's hat. They'll never suspect me.
I mean, I think there's like a little bit of, I don't know, confirmation bias or whatever. Like, you know, the A's hat, because the colors are unique, like it stands out, right? So it's like, of course I'm going to see the A's hat.
Is that what confirmation bias is?
Well, no, but it did.
I see what you're going for, though.
Right. Okay.
It's like how when you notice an ad for a thing that you were just talking about, some of the times that's probably because you were just talking about it, so it's on your mind, and you notice the ad more than just skipping over it.
Right.
Look at me carrying water for the tech overlords surveilling us, playing ads for things that we just talked about. It could be like a Minority Report. Have you seen Minority Report?
I have.
Just watched this a couple weeks ago.
Great
from
flick.
theaters. Great flick. It could be like Minority Report. We might already be there, but they're not using that technology that plays you like a personal ad when you walk into the room. They're
right.
It's in beta. They're just rolling out guys with A's hats when you get to places. They're like, release the A's hat guys. And they like come up from under the floor, you know, and they walk out.
That's fair. The Oakland A's are a figment of my imagination anyway, I think.
I think you'd like them to be. What?
Yeah.
Did you go up and talk to the people?
You know, I didn't, which I was falling down on the job. as my duty as a journalist for noted podcast tipping pitches.
Did you think about the fact that if you did go up and talk to them and get some audio, you could have expensed the rest of the honeymoon? Too late though, you didn't.
I know. Actually, that's crazy. I think I have some audio right here. If I can retroactively,
I'll allow you to do it if you do if you fake the conversation right here live on the show between you and the two Italian men in A's hats, and you have to talk like an Italian man would talk.
That's cool. I'm trying to get us canceled before we've
canceled. No. Italian people love when you impersonate them.
Yeah, they do.
I'm giving you a pass.
Got the Italian pass.
You remember you're honorary Italian.
I'm not going to do it. I did see another A's jersey in the wild while I was there. I was trying to keep track of what baseball memorabilia I was seeing out there. And, there's a good amount of Yankees hats as well. I would say that was probably
series of Lindor jerseys.
Yes.
Just a bunch of Lindor jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
While I was at the Formula One race in
Flex.
in Monza.
Flex.
Yeah, exactly.
Flex. Oh, where? In where? Monza? Oh, in Monza? Cool. Nice.
Los Angeles Dodgers jersey.
What player?
That tracks. Nameless. Fake fan.
Or in it for the love of the game.
That's right. You know what? They're a fan of the name on the front of the jersey, not the back of the jersey.
They should be a fan of the name on the back of the jersey, and they should have been buying an Ohtani jersey.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
Did everybody over there come up to you and say, Sir, what do you think about 50-50? Does that mean that he should win the MVP versus Francisco Lindor? Were they all coming up to you in the streets? Noted American podcaster, sir.
Yeah, they were.
And like the conversation was just getting interrupted by the F1 cars zooming by. Just like, hold on, wait. Can they slow this race down? Like these cars are really loud. I'm trying to talk about Ohtani's 47 steal.
I mean, do you want to talk about Ohtani? Where do you want to start? We have a lot of stuff to get through.
We do have a lot of stuff to get through. Well, I think that you should decide where we start. You're the one that hasn't gotten to talk about baseball in the last few weeks. What's most interesting to you?
Let's see. Let's look at our list we have here.
Sorry, I mean, what's second most interesting to you behind Kevin Costner's quotes about the Iraq War in 2003? Because I knew that would be top of the list.
Yes, it is top of the list. I mean, let's just get out of the way.
Okay.
You don't know what I'm going to say, do you?
I think you're going to talk about the Detroit Tigers and the Minnesota Twins race for the final AL wildcard spot.
Yeah.
Tarek School pumping 100, just like at the All-Star break.
Shohei Ohtani, 50-50 season. First in Major League history. Sorry, actually, I'll correct myself. I think he's at 52-52 right now. I flipped this on, the game on. I got the alert that he had hit a home run, that he had hit his 49th home run. I was
he waited till you were back in the good old US of A.
He did, and I am grateful to him for that.
He got the call in his ear, He was like, confirmation. Alex Paisley has landed. All right. Time to hit 3 home runs in one game.
So here's the thing is I couldn't watch any sports over there because all of the like YouTube TV, ESPN, whatever, all the actual streaming services don't let you, like once you leave the United States, they're like, you're not in the right place for this. You can't watch this.
MLB TV you can.
That's true.
You don't have MLB TV?
I have your MLB TV.
Well, that's what I was saying. That's true. What's the point of me sharing my login?
I was more focused on the U.S. Open, if I'm being quite honest. Yes, we were on our honeymoon watching the U.S.
You remember the login, right? The email is johnneesfan23@gmail.com.
Uh-huh.
And the password is goat pitcher.
Right.
John Neese.
Side note, on the U.S. Open, Arina Sabalenka, who won the women's final.
Don't get me started on Arina Sabalenka, bro. Such a fan. I'm just a fan of her work. I'm a huge fan of her work.
Huge fan of her work. She's incredible. And I'll just mention boyfriend in the stands during her final match. What is he wearing?
He was wearing a Mets jersey, wasn't he?
He was wearing an Oakland A's jersey.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Is he from Oakland?
No, I think he's from Brazil. So like, as far as like, I don't know, like flags
the
go,
Brazil colors.
yeah.
That's a baller move.
Everything was coming up A's while I was over there. I just want to say.
Well, good thing that it was coming up A's while you were over there, because now that you're back, things aren't going quite as well.
No, they aren't.
Unless your name is Brent Rooker.
That's true. Wait,
He's so
okay,
good, bro.
He's so good. But I want to redirect us back. Shohei Ohtani.
You don't want to keep talking about Arena Sabalenka dominating the U.S. Open?
I mean, I do.
3 weeks ago?
Sorry to Jess Pagula.
I'm actually not sorry. Okay, I was fine rooting for her, and then I found out that she actually is the daughter of the Bills owner.
I know.
The one who's trying to get New York State to give him $500 million for his new stadium.
Mm-hmm.
That same guy. I saw someone saying that it's shocking that there are 2 daughters of billionaires currently on the WTA tour. And then I saw someone else say that it's actually shocking that there are not more.
Yeah, I'm 100%.
Based on the way that tennis is trained in this country.
Uh-huh.
And I thought that both of those points were astute, honestly.
This is a tennis podcast now. Welcome to Tipping Serves.
Serving
pitches?
No, I don't think that works. No. What about slicing pitches?
Ooh.
But pitches is still not tennis.
We'll workshop it. If you have an idea for the name of our burgeoning tennis podcast, please write in. Let us know. 785-422-8. Wait, shit. Oh, no. 785-422-5881. There we go.
There you go. Dropping shots.
Oh.
Not bad.
Now we're cooking.
The Tipping Pitches expanded universe is going to feed families. Okay, back to Shohei Ohtani. Unless, yes, no, more Arena Sabalenka, no?
I mean, yeah, let's do it. What is there to say? I turned on the game to a couple batters ahead of when he was going to come up. We're already talking a blowout against the Marlins. And once he hit that 50th home run, I think he was already at 51 steals. I just started giddily pacing around my apartment. I kind of didn't know what else to do. I was my heart was sort of just jumping and my hands were shaking a little bit. I was having heart palpitations. Just fully in awe.
I was following it via your texts. And I obviously went back and watched the whole game. Not the whole game, all of Ohtani's at bats. What did he end up? 6 for 6, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs. Normal game.
Yep. But he's not a 10-WAR center fielder, so I'm not that impressed.
And yet, still to me, not his most amazing accomplishment this year. His most amazing accomplishment this year, Alex, is being one of the home runs in the back-to-back of Betts, Ohtani, and Freeman, checking that off of our bingo card.
Yeah.
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
Responsible for 2 out of 4?
Several squares. And honestly, spiritually responsible for the betting squares too,
Right.
It's pretty unbelievable. And the most unbelievable part, if I'm to get serious for a moment here, is that I think one of the most amazing things in sports, and this is something that a lot of people have talked about with LeBron James and then subsequently with Ohtani, is the idea of a hype machine propping up a player to the point where it almost feels impossible for them to live up to that expectation. And then they actually show up. And not only do they live up to that expectation, but they exceed even the wildest dreams of the people who set that expectation. When Ohtani came over, I think a lot of people were rightfully excited and hopeful. And then I think even those people who were the biggest fans of the idea of Ohtani, the pitcher and the hitter, there was that little voice in the back of our heads that was yeah, but this isn't really gonna happen, right? This isn't really something
right.
Is gonna go
too good to be
wrong,
true.
And he's gonna be good still. There's no way for him to be a bad MLB player, most likely. But we almost get so excited about the idea of it. Are we setting ourselves up for disappointment? Well, the answer to that is a resounding big fat no. we were not setting ourselves up for disappointment. We were understating it drastically. He has exceeded every single expectation in every facet of his game, except maybe health, And even then, is he more hurt than other pitchers?
Right.
Not really. Like everyone's popping a UCL. Now he's had 2 Tommy Johns since his time in the bigs. That's not super common for someone who's only this is his 7th season. Isn't it crazy that he's 30, by the way?
Yeah.
Because he looks like 25.
Mm-hmm. And also I was like going back and, looking at some of the coverage from when he first came over. He was a twig. Oh my God.
I know. He really bulked up.
Yeah. Ohtani juicing scandal coming.
Don't even put that out in the world.
I know.
I'm not glad that he got hurt on the pitching side. I'm not happy about that, because what makes Ohtani so exciting and just a completely galling experience as a fan is the fact that you watch him at the plate and watch how good he is, and then like every 5th day he's just like the 7th best pitcher in baseball. Of course, that is what makes Ohtani who he is. But I am weirdly like the silver lining out of the last year and him getting hurt pitching is that it has demanded that we only focus on him as a hitter, and he's just the best hitter. Like I know people will say Aaron Judge and Bobby Witt and all this stuff, but what he has been able to do, only focusing on being a hitter and forcing us all to reckon with the fact that this guy could probably be the best at either thing if it was the only thing that he was doing, as evidenced by the fact that in the year that he is just DHing, this is the season that he's having, is just downright, it's remarkable. And it's cool that we've all just gotten to like take a breather from the full Ohtani 2-way, he's the greatest player ever because of this, and we can just admire the craft of him as a hitter. Because it's not just that he like hits for prodigious power and has the 50 home runs too. He really is just like there's no way to pitch to him. He can hit bad pitches for home runs. He can hit good pitch. He hits mistakes for home runs. He hits for average. He hits doubles and triples. He takes his walks. Like he really just is just good at everything.
Yeah. Home run number 50 was like an opposite field shot. Like he has power to all sides of the field. Like I feel like there's the cliche in baseball and sports in general, like you're going to tell your grandkids about this. But like I actually am. Like this is one of those things where I genuinely feel so lucky that we get to be able to watch him. It is one of those things that like reminds you of why you watch baseball in the first place, right? The purest distillation of what we want out of this sport, which is to say like skill, yes, but also joy and improbability, and the idea that 150 years of this sport have been distilled down into this man right here, the greatest you or I have ever witnessed and likely ever will. Like that's just, again, something that makes me like really excited. And frankly, like, excited for the sport too, for all that we talk about the ills of the game right now. It's a nice reminder of the ways that like the sport can sort of break its own mold a little bit and get people like LeBron James to say wowzers about him.
Top 3 players you'll tell your grandkids about from this season. Number 1, Shohei Ohtani. Number 2,
Brent Rooker.
Jose Iglesias. Number 3, Brent Rooker.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, what else? Ohtani 50-50. Old news.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
Do you want to check in on a story that broke, I think, last week, the week before, that felt weirdly relevant to this here podcast?
Sure. Yeah. Why not? You talking about the Twins minor league catcher?
I am, yeah.
This comes from a story co-written by Kylie McDaniel and Jeff Passan in ESPN. Minnesota Twins released minor league catcher Derek Bender on Thursday after he told opposing hitters the types of pitches that were coming to the plate during at-bats in the game last week that eliminated his team from playoff contention. Sources told ESPN. Bender was a recent 6th-round draft pick in this past July's draft out of Coastal Carolina. This was at single A. I think that this came from the opponent's coaches notified the team's coaches after the game that this was going on, and then they pretty immediately decided to cut him after that. Weird story. Came out of nowhere. And honestly, like, without knowing anything about Derek Bender personally, like, I've seen a lot of people talking about how they like him. He's like a personable guy that most people around the baseball world who have had interactions with him, they've been positive. So there hasn't been a ton of explanation since this story broke a couple weeks ago. But it's a weird one because this is fixing games, basically, not for any nefarious purpose, at least not one that we've found out about since the story broke 10 days ago. But it was like a 16-hour news cycle, and now it's just completely gone. And this, I know that high A baseball is not really ever going to distract from the major league season, or of course not from the wider national sports media conversation, not with the NFL returning. But one, it's funny because it's funny and relevant to us because it's literally tipping pitches. Two, it was eerie that this happened like right after our betting scandal episode, where this isn't the exact scenario that we concocted, but it's not far off. Like giving away what pitches were coming to the opposing team to allow them to have a competitive advantage. It turns out that is like easy to do. Now, in this case, it was also easy to find out about because Derek Bender was being really obvious about it. He was just straight up telling the hitters what was coming.
Right. Well, and in the story, it also mentions that he was telling his teammates he wanted the season to be over.
Correct.
So, like, his intentions were very upfront about it, but it was not far removed from some of the scenarios we talked about a couple weeks ago.
And I'm not implying that there is some sort of big conspiracy going on here or some level of impropriety that has not been revealed yet. Because I don't know. I feel like it would have been revealed by now if there was something there, but who knows? I'm just saying it's like really easy. There are these levers to pull on. And when there are such drastic financial investments into the individual discrete outcomes of every Major League Baseball game, as Bradford laid out on part 2 of our gambling scandal pod, it's no longer that this is just like to me, it doesn't feel like this is just like some funny, weird, sad thing that happened. And I say sad because, like, who knows what's going on for Derek Bender in his life, like why he wanted the season to end so badly that he was willing to do something that you just like straight up never should do, not only because of the like competitive integrity of baseball, but because for your teammates, you should not do this to the pitcher.
Right.
That's a shitty thing to do to the pitcher that you're catching for. It just, to me, feels like a really big story. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it does make me think of like what happens if the other team is not filled with such stand-up guys that they're like, this is wrong. It only takes a confluence of people in somewhat desperate situations, of which many minor leaguers are in, to say, hey, maybe there's an opportunity here for us, right? Now again, like, I understand that likely the vast majority of players are not interested in sports betting. They've seen the consequences that they could face. They are already in precarious positions. And so...
And also, like, you can't, through legal means, you can't bet on high A baseball.
Right.
Which is not to say that you can't do it, but, like, it's not so present that like, people made money off of this or people lost money off of this in an obvious way.
Exactly. But to your point, it's like, I mean, it only takes one person to see an opportunity for financial gain there. And maybe it's a player, and maybe it's a coach, or maybe it's someone else who has a stake in the game. Again, this is not, as far as we know, what the scenario was here. but it was a very weirdly timed story to come out, and it makes you wonder what could have happened if things had gone differently, if there were more nefarious means behind this.
Yeah.
And it's a testament to the fact that like these lines start to get really blurry when there's an opportunity for financial gain here. So again, I know we're like extrapolating a little bit and comparing it to our own, fictional narrative, which again, I encourage everyone to go back and listen to if you haven't. We had a really great conversation with Bradford about the potential for wrongdoing and what that fallout might look like. But I don't know. It strikes me as being, probably easier to throw these sorts of games than we would like to believe, especially when you are sitting right next to your opponent. You can say, hey, curveball next.
Dude, that's
sit
what I mean.
Sit on this
like,
one.
He threw the game so easily. Yeah. And it's literally one more step to throw the game for the purposes of betting, Like, it's just, that's it. We're so close to doing that. And we talk about, like, we must protect the competitive integrity of our game in the face of sports betting. And I'm like, well, the competitive integrity of the game is not that protected right now. We're just like waiting for this to happen. And then we're going to freak out about it when it does. And I realize that it's like not fans' job to think of a solution to this or to really like fret over this because it's so far out of our control. But sometimes I feel like I'm going crazy when I think about stuff like this happening and how the people in charge are not connecting these dots at all. Or if they are connecting these dots, they're just like erasing the whiteboard afterwards.
Yes. Sorry, those BetMGM checks keep cashing. I don't know what to tell you.
Yo, I almost lost my shit. Like, I almost went full, please don't put in the newspapers that I'm angry the other day about how there are odds out right now for who ESPN will hire to replace Adrian Wojnarowski now that he retired. Like, they put real odds out there for that. And I don't remember which casino it was, but I do think it might have been BetMGM, and that's what reminded me of it. That is so crazy. Like, that is pretty much everyone in the replies was like, call the hotline if you actually want to bet on this, which was funny. But still, what is happening?
Right. It's like 90% of people, 95% of people might say, yeah, that's not for me. But there are a few sickos out there.
But like, that's not an event that we know is going to happen. So what you're betting speculatively on something that is just like what you assume will happen. This would be like placing money on an over-under for Game 7 of the World Series. Like, we don't know that there's going to be a Game 7 of the World Series. We don't know that ESPN is going to hire someone specifically to replace Woj. And even if they do, will they be like, this is the Woj replacement? Like, how does that bet even fucking cash? I don't even get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's unclear to me, like, could you actually bet on this? Or is this just like one of those like sort of prop lines that like books put out there? But
why are we having fake prop lines that they put out there? That's what I'm asking.
Right, yes, exactly. Because everything is a vehicle for financial speculation, Bobby. Everything.
I prefer only to think about financial speculation when I'm watching the television show Industry, season 3.
Fair.
On HBO. Available on your Max app. Thank you, Warner Brothers.
No
Discovery.
Free ads. Oh
Thank
my
you,
God.
David Zaslav.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Bleep that
Keep cutting
all
those
out.
checks for my dogs, Conrad and Mickey. Keep making it happen, bro. When are you going to get in on the Industry Hive?
I watch Industry. I haven't watched the latest season.
Well, time to tap in, bro. Rishi's waiting for you.
That's crazy. It's not like I've been doing anything.
They got HBO in Italy. I watched HBO when I was in Italy. Come on. Sunday nights. Wind down with an episode of Industry that is more stressful than fucking Uncut Gems.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
I'm just saying this for the listeners at home. I know you're here on Industry because I wrote a newsletter about it and put you onto it 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you want to check in on the standings?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, we have precisely 0 division races left. That's fun. I suppose you could squint and convince yourself that there's technically still a division race between the Dodgers and the Padres. They're separated by 3 games at time of recording. That could possibly change by the time you listen to this episode because we're recording this on Sunday morning and they still have the games to play on Sunday. Every other division is at least 5 games apart, including the AL East, which throughout the season was what we thought was going to be the closest division race. Now, there's somewhat of a hotly contested third wildcard spot in each league. The Mets and the Braves are separated by 2 games for the third wildcard spot in the NL. And the Tigers and the Twins, the Tigers, against all odds, and the Twins are separated by just half a game, and the Mariners are just a game and a half out of that third spot. I think for me, the last few weeks have been a reminder not to count anyone out in the new playoff format, because with 3 spots, all it takes is 3 hot weeks to put yourself right back in to the wild card picture. The Tigers at the deadline, we talked about it at the deadline. How you talked about how The Athletic had written an article saying that Tarik Skubal was the top trade target at the deadline, and I was like, that's surprising to me. I don't think that they will trade Tarik Skubal, not because I thought they were going to make the playoffs this year, but because I thought he was both too good to give away for like a rental haul, and other teams were too cheap to pay the price, basically. That's why I thought he wouldn't move. And because I thought that he would factor into their future plans, not just this season. And then they've just ripped off an incredible streak over the last few weeks and put themselves in a playoff picture. So on the one hand, I find it somewhat thrilling that the wild card race allows teams with obvious flaws to continue to compete against teams with obvious flaws, because that introduces like a level of optionality. Like they could way overperform. They could while another team way underperforms, and you can get an unlikely outcome. Both teams can perform up to expectations, and they can still be neck and neck for a photo finish. It just introduces a lot of different moving parts, which I think has made the last month of the season redeemable. But the division races being completely sewn up has been kind of a bummer to me. And I think that is because in large part, the teams in second in the divisions, many of them are already just like firmly in a wild card position, or like not even close. But you left the country and Detroit took off. Minnesota tanked. The Mets continued their hot run. And the Baltimore Orioles became the worst offense in baseball somehow.
Just as we all predicted. Yeah, it does feel like the season has kind of come to an end with less bang, more whimper. Like a lot of the teams that are basically in playoff contention right now, for the most part, we would have expected to, especially division leaders. Very few surprises there. I think it's been a bummer to see the Mariners kind of fade a little bit.
But then weirdly find themselves back in contention by default.
I know. I mean, they're still... The Astros have not clinched the West yet. Remember at the beginning of the year when we were... Remember at the beginning of the year when we were like, is this it for the Astros? Is their run over?
Yeah, we were like, bury them under 100 feet of dirt.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's
That's
weird
on
with
us.
the Astros?
What?
You know what's weird? Justin Verlander sucks ass and will definitely not pitch in the playoffs if they make it.
That is weird.
It's so bizarre.
I don't know. I mean, let's go Phils, man.
Whatever.
With the new CBA, the lack of any sort of tiebreak games, any 163s has also sort of taken the wind out of the sails a little bit, in that we do have some tight races in the wild card, and they'll be sewn up by like head-to-head records ultimately. Which, I don't know, it's kind of a bummer. I know that's not new this year, but it's sort of a reminder that like all the chaos of the last 6 months or whatever could very well come down to who has a better run differential or whatever. Like,
is run differential part of the... I thought it was like head-to-head record and then division record.
It is, yeah. But
Okay.
just broadly speaking, it's like...
I was going to say, I would kind of like it if it was run differential.
I know.
That'd
That
be
would
kind of progressive.
I just mean more generally, it comes down to statistics that are already determined, have been determined over the course of the year, which is like fine. I suppose you could say it's more predictive than a one-game playoff.
Yeah.
But
Right.
also, that shit was so fun, man.
It was so fun. I'm not here for predictability. I'm here for excitement.
Yeah.
You know what's wild?
What?
Just looking at the bottom of
The card.
That was such a bad joke.
Okay, I'm sorry.
but I still laughed. So I guess it was a good joke. Looking at the bottoms of the divisions, couple surprises in there.
What is standing out to you? Like the White
Blue
Sox?
Jays currently being in last. Yeah, I'm really shocked by the White Sox not being very good. Blue Jays currently being in last in the AL East with a negative 53 run differential. Not what you want. I know they kind of gave up at the deadline.
Not what you.
The Angels being a full 5 games worse than the A's and 31 runs worse in run differential. The Marlins being 40 games under 500 with a negative 222 run differential. And the Pirates finishing in last. After such a hot start, after a lot of promise, a lot of excitement about the rotation, everybody in on Jared Jones, everybody in on Skeens. And then they Pirates, you know?
Yeah, Giants fading. Farhan
Come on now.
Zaidi magic.
That's the least surprising thing of it all. The Giants finishing 3 games under 500 with a negative 9 run differential. Come on. We all knew that was happening. Congrats to Matt Chapman, though. He gets to continue to live in the Bay Area.
That's true. You saw that story about how Buster Posey was like single-handedly negotiating his contract with Matt Chapman directly? That probably bodes well for a GM.
Well, I think that's probably has more to do with the fact that Farhan Zaidi loves this podcast, listens to it every week, saw that you don't want to do work anymore, and so he decided he doesn't want to do work anymore.
Who can blame him?
Look at your impact.
When you have to negotiate with McCovey Cove Dave every day, I'd probably want to take a step back too.
Let's play this out. Like we're in an improv class. Okay, you're McCovey Cove Dave. I'm Farhan Zaidi.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey McCovey Cove Dave. Can I call you McCovey Cove?
You can.
Cove Dave?
Actually, no, you can't. You haven't earned that from me.
Can I call you?
Yet?
How about Mick Dave?
Ooh,
pretty good, right?
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
What can I do for you, Mr. Zaidi?
Well, you see, we've sort of made a thing of splash hits here at this organization. Not sure if you're aware. I know you spend a lot of time out there in your little kayak or whatever.
Wait, you guys are playing baseball in there? That's what's going on? Holy shit.
No, we just have a pitching machine set up to launch balls over the fence. Well, we've never had a right-handed hitter hit one into the water over there. McCovey Cove Dave. McDave.
Right. Farhan Zaidi from Philadelphia.
Philadelphia is the center of the fucking universe still months later. Okay.
I know.
So, maybe Farhan Zaidi's been listening to Sweet Pill. I don't know. And Elliot Ramos did it. I know you're aware of this because you got the ball, McCovey Cove Dave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm just wondering, what's it going to take? You partial season tickets? Signed ball? What do you want? I've deputized famous catcher Buster Posey to do my actual job so I can be here. That's the respect I'm showing. I come to you on the day of your daughter's wedding and I say to you, McCovey Cove Dave, what's it going to take? I'm here to make the offer that you can't refuse.
I'd like a chartered BART train to every Giants game. Empty it out so it's just for me.
Okay. You think McCovey Cove Dave's like a public transit guy?
I need you to get rid of all these other fake McCovey Cove fans out there in the kayaks with me.
Okay.
Frankly, it's disrespectful that I've been putting in all this work, getting to know these players, building up relationships, and some schmuck can come in and just paddle up alongside me and get the ball. That's,
Question,
Mm-hmm.
McDave.
Mm-hmm.
When you say get rid of them, are we talking like tie some cement blocks around their ankles and...
Yes, I'm saying sleep with the fishes.
Okay. All right. That can be done. Charles Johnson is our owner, remember?
Wow, I didn't think we were going to go this long on McCovey Cove Dave. This is good.
That's the Tipping Pitches promise, a random 4-minute improv bit.
Just a man who could have avoided all this trouble had he just not given any interviews.
And like Andy Warhol said,
sometimes you can't help yourself.
Everyone wants their 15 minutes. Not all of us can be podcasters where we get our 15 minutes and then some every week.
I remember that Andy Warhol quote.
The 15 minutes of fame thing is Andy Warhol. All right. God damn it. when did you didn't show up on the first day of improv class where you were supposed to say yes to my bits? You know, you didn't. Where were you? Sleeping on the job.
No, I was actually with RFK in Central Park. I was the one who brought the bike. What else do you want to talk about? We're kind of going all over the map here. Do you want to talk more about divisional races? Do you want to talk more about splash hits?
No. I want to talk about, since you brought up the Mariners, actually, I quickly want to talk about Jerry Dipoto. I've made a lot about how no one wants to work anymore. Well, Jerry Dipoto wants to work. He wants to keep carrying that water for John Stanton in the Mariners ownership group. And by God, Alex, they are happy to let him because he's coming back. He's back. Dipoto, he's back. We're not going to allow the season to play out and see how the team finishes. No. We're not going to allow the off season to start and see whether or not he's enacting a good plan. We're just going to announce he's coming back. He's earned it. If McCovey Cove Dave was in the room, he would have been like, you know what? You're right. Dipoto, he's earned it. I'll talk to him, not Elliot Ramos.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the truth is that they saw that we had gotten bingo, or were maybe on the verge of getting bingo, and they said, you know what? Let's just seal this up. They don't need the Dipoto narrative spot anymore.
No, we already checked that off. We checked that off.
Did we check that off? What for?
Because a lot of people... Oh, wait. We didn't check it off. Wrong. I'm wrong.
Fake news. Alternative facts.
God damn it. See, I thought we had checked that off because there was a lot of people in the replies being like, clearly there was a Jerry Dipoto news cycle, you idiots.
That's fair.
And when we had been getting a lot of that throughout the season, normally how I handled that was I put up a poll.
I just want to say, this bingo card looks pretty good.
Like how it's designed?
Sure, yes. But I mean, just we checked off close to half the items on here. I think it would have been a fool's errand to believe we could get them all. But even some of the ones that are not checked off, you could make an argument for them being checked off. The A's did accidentally leave their replies on a Facebook post.
Okay, so we're just doing it now. We're just doing the bingo card chat now. I agree. Let's just do it all the way.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I agree. We could check off that A's turned their replies on because we didn't say Twitter. So they turned the Facebook comments on. So I do think that we should check that off.
Yeah.
Okay. The culture war one.
We got that one, right?
No, so we never ended up checking it off because we didn't think that it rose to the occasion.
But we had like a couple different culture wars at the same time. And I thought we decided that's, you combine the 50-50, it counts.
All right. Well, we're announcing live on the pod that those two are being checked off in retrospect.
I mean, the whole, like, what was it? Taylor Walls fight celebration. And the Cardinals. And
then wasn't there the, what's his name? The guy that got traded from the Orioles to the Phillies on Pride Night.
Austin Hayes.
Austin Hayes posted the Bible verse. Yeah. Juiced ball controversy. Ohtani said that they keep changing the balls. Did you see this?
No.
He said, I wanted to get my home runs over with to get to 50-50 because I don't want them to keep changing the balls on me.
What?
Could totally be a fake quote, and I'm just repeating it here on this podcast, but we're not going to go back and check that.
No.
Owners probably did donate to RFK. We couldn't dig that up. If you can dig that up at home, we'll check that off. It's not too late for Dave Campbell to resign.
That's for sure.
Let's just be honest. We whiffed on Braves acquire or extend a young player. That didn't happen. Although they could still extend them technically, but it seems unlikely. Dipoto news cycle, I do think we could check that off probably.
Mm-hmm.
Pete Ricketts campaign finance scandal. If that one happens, I will actually literally just retire.
Yeah.
From all my jobs. Sitting politician booted a game definitely feels like something that could happen in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Team gets sold, probably not. Biden messes up a Rangers player's name. That didn't happen, even though you watched that whole press conference.
Twice. Senator calls for revocation of the antitrust exemption. That feels like old news. They're on to bigger and better stuff.
Mm-hmm. All the senators, they're out here talking about God only knows what. What are the senators even doing these days?
I don't know.
Name something that a senator has done this year.
Run for vice president.
Is he really the senator from Ohio? It's crazy.
You bet your ass, brother.
so crazy. So okay. But obviously we have to talk about the bingo that we hit.
Right.
Okay, we had an MLB PA files a grievance, Prestige Magazine profile of an owner, free space. Betts Ohtani Freeman back to back to back, I think in my mind is the second most unlikely thing on this whole board, and it happened.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen. How did that happen? That's crazy.
I know.
That will never happen again, by the way.
Right. I mean, it just back to back to back is rare enough as it is. I feel like it's to pick the three players. Like, damn, dude, are you going to release some betting lines for the playoffs? Because I'll place my bets.
Secretly been running BetMGM this whole time. And then the fifth and final was LeBron James tweeting about Shohei Ohtani. Now, I always felt good about this. I knew it was going to happen. There was no way that he could go a whole calendar year without tweeting about Shohei Ohtani being on the Dodgers. LeBron is like honorary Los Angelino now. And it happened. It took the 50-53 home run game, but wowzers.
Wowzers, indeed.
Would you like to read the text? I'll read you the text. He quote tweeted the MLB account, which was sharing the highlight after Ohtani's third home run. All caps. This guy is unreal! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Wowzers! Prayer hands emoji.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I believe it's the praise hands emoji.
5 times. Oh, you're right. It wasn't prayer. It was praise.
I think actually the funniest part about this for me is I don't think he's tweeting this in response to the fact that Ohtani went 50-50.
No,
he
not.
Just had a really good game.
I don't think he knew that Ohtani went 50-50.
I don't think he did either.
Here's another thing I have to say about the bingo card, Alex.
Yeah.
And I hate to do this to you.
Do it. Air your grievances. That's what this is for.
I do think that the bingo that we hit was all with ones that I predicted. Unless you did the Prestige Magazine profile of an owner. I can't remember who did that one, but I'm I'm positive about the LeBron and Betts Ohtani and Freeman. Those were mine.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm 98% sure about the MLB PA filing a grievance was mine. But Prestige Magazine profile of an owner, I couldn't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either, if I'm being honest.
Well, the people at home will just have to decide for themselves.
Mm-hmm. That's what you are the oracle of this podcast. I've always said that.
Player suspended for betting? Whose was that? New way to engage with the game was you, and we got that one.
Yeah.
MLB account, Twitter account tweeting out betting lines, that was mine.
Yeah.
Umpires Union releases a statement was yours, though.
Mm-hmm.
That was yours.
Look, I'm just saying, I got a few in there. A different randomized bingo card, and maybe I get bingo, bro. Like, come on.
Maybe.
Why are you coming out for me like this?
I'm just saying, I'm just doing my job. Just doing my job. Keeping you honest. Perhaps you should have thought about the fact that Ohtani, Freeman, and Betts were going to go back to back to back.
You also included Pete Ricketts' campaign finance scandal.
That one was for the heads.
Which is the funniest thing I think we could have included on here. Not even related to baseball, really.
Then I couldn't even remember his name later in the season. Tim, Pat
Ricketts. Yep.
Pat Ricketts is the cousin who's going to do the finance scandal. He's the chief of staff. All right. Well, the bingo card was a smashing success. I can't wait to do it next year.
Me too. Maybe we'll do a better job of getting the listeners involved next year.
Here's the thing. That one's on you guys. We gave you the links.
That's
we told you about the card. We predicted all this stuff. It happened. It hit bingo. We hit bingo.
Right.
Did
you?
As a pod at the same time as everybody else did. Or before everybody else did. At the same time as one other person.
Yeah.
That person is named Chris. Congrats to Chris. You'll be getting your choice of Tipping Pitches merch sent to you for free.
Yeah.
I told everybody to share their bingo cards with us if they hit bingo, and Chris was the only one who did, so it sounds like nobody else hit bingo. Although maybe with these 2 additions that we made today, maybe other people will hit bingo, and we'll give you free stuff too for that.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Season's not over. There's still time. Not to be
It was the first person hits bingo.
No, I know.
Not everybody just gets free stuff. Although, who cares? We'll send everybody free stuff. You're listening, you send us an email, you want something free?
Honestly, yeah. Yeah, that was a good exercise. It was fun. I think it was just as fun putting it together, honestly, as it was actually. Because then all of a sudden you have to wait 6 months for all this stuff to happen.
Yeah.
It was much more fun when the board was wide open. The possibilities were endless. Maybe David Rubenstein will buy another historical document.
It's not too late.
It's not too late.
It's not too late. What was I listening to the other day that David Rubenstein was involved? It was something that did not paint him in a good light. I can't remember though, so I don't want to slander him. The last thing we have here on this list, and you tell me if you want to just cut the pod right here. Last thing we have here on this list is the Oakland A's play their final game at the Oakland Coliseum this week. Allegedly.
So they say.
They keep saying they're going to Sacramento. And I keep hearing all the reasons they can't and shouldn't go to Sacramento. Like how the renovations are not going well, or how it's going to be too hot, how the turf will kill players via heat stroke, how there's not really stands for people to come watch these games, how they don't actually really want to play their games there, and they do not want to commit to playing the playoff games.
Right, yes.
At that stadium.
That's the kicker, is that there's no guarantee that if the Oakland A's make the playoffs,
that they will play there.
Sorry. If the
A's. If
God
A's.
damn it.
But like, why are they saying that though? This feels like an unforced error.
Right. Like, are you actually
They're not gonna
that
make the
confident of
playoffs?
that? Like, why are you backing yourself into a corner like that?
Did they clone Brent Rooker?
I guess you have to like have some sort of transparency with like season ticket own.
Yeah, when you
ticket
sell the
holders.
season tickets, they have first dibs at playoff tickets, and that's part of the T's and C's when you sign up for those packages.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clear out and let you talk a little bit about how this supposedly is the final week of baseball at the Coliseum. If you want to. If you don't want to, you know what? Pack it in. tippingpitchespod@gmail.com. It's up to you.
I think I will have more to say once the final game has been played.
Put it behind the paywall, Patreon.
Yeah. These tiers don't come for free. I'm just saying.
I thought that was like a tiers TIERS of the Patreon. Don't come for free.
No.
Look at you punning your way through the end of this pod.
Yeah, doing my best. Is there any other way?
It'd be like a video at MoMA. Like you walk into one of those dark rooms and it's just a man crying. There's nothing else. Like we sell that on the Patreon.
What I will say is that it has made me very emotional to see folks on the timeline sort of giving their send-offs to the Coliseum, including fans of other teams, right? Mariners fans, Giants fans.
Yeah.
Like that is the part actually I think that is like almost getting me more choked up, is sort of the recognition from folks around the league, with the exception of Aaron Judge, who said, man, these things happen. Of just
Face of baseball, everyone.
That's right, brother.
He's so committed to being uninteresting in every way.
I have to respect it. That's my MVP.
No, you don't have to hand it to him. You do not, under any circumstances, have to hand it to Aaron Judge or the New York Yankees.
And you're having like profiles of stadium workers, folks who have worked there for like decades. I mean, there is, for better or for worse, no other place in baseball like the Oakland Coliseum. As a place to watch a baseball game, it feels so unique and of its time, for sure. This big concrete, ring.
The Coliseum rules.
It's sick.
It's so sick. I don't care what everybody says.
Sorry you can't get like a $27 filet mignon
pork
there.
Sandwich.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Okay, hit me with the filet mignon. All right. You have a layover in Charles de Gaulle Airport?
Like, it's no frills. It feels like, frankly, and I say this with love, like a minor league baseball experience. And I don't say that as like shade to the A's level of competitiveness or anything like that. I say that because it feels like it has not been overly commercialized and squeezed for every dollar that you can squeeze from the fans and everything like that. Like, it has so much character that is not manufactured right? It has character that is there because it's what the fans made it. There's nothing like walking over the bridge from the BART station that's right there and sort of just seeing the Coliseum come into view and being there, walking in with other fans and maybe grabbing a churro on the way in, or your bootleg shirt or something like that.
Yep.
It just, there's nothing like it, man.
I would love a churro right now.
Yeah.
I'm so hungry. I just think that if you like baseball, you like the Coliseum. And if you like the idea of saying that you're a baseball fan but don't actually like watching baseball, then you don't like the Coliseum.
Yeah.
That's my take.
Yep.
You walk in, you immediately are just boom, smack right there at the place where you watch baseball. You don't, again, like you don't pass a VR machine where you can experience MLB virtual ballpark while at the ballpark. You know, like you don't do any of that stuff. You just walk in and you're there.
Right. There's a concourse and you can just see the field from the concourse. Right.
And that's not like, yeah, that's not to say that newer stadiums that have more frills, that there's nothing redeemable about that, because I'm fully aware of the fact that a lot of that stuff appeals to more family-oriented fans,
of course,
you know, who are bringing their kids, who actually love the fact that you can go out into center field at Petco Park and there's like a playground, you know, there's like a beach out there, you know, Dodger Stadium, you can walk around with all of the statues and all of that stuff and straight up not be able to see the game at all, but still be entertained and still be immersed. I just think that it's like base level place to watch a baseball game. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, especially when it's like packed to the gills with fans who have a shared history with the organization, of which there are so many, and all of whom are just being stabbed in the back by this decision and the way that it's been handled. You know, I've been thinking about this a lot over the last couple weeks. Like, it's indefensible to move a baseball team in search of owner profiteering. There is like a scenario that could unfold where reasonable people could disagree about whether or not a baseball team should be moved, or whether a pro sports franchise should be moved because of how it gets marketed in the city that it's in, because of whether or not there are already other teams in the city that it's in. You know, like historically speaking, I'm not saying that I agree with any of the moves that have happened, but if you look at like the expansion to California and taking the Dodgers and moving them to LA, it worked. It was a crime to all of the Dodgers fans, and Bernie Sanders has still never forgiven them.
Right.
But, you know, on its face, like financially, it worked. Organizationally, like for what MLB was trying to do at that time, it worked. So there is a way for these things to align. I'm not saying that me as a fan would ever support that necessarily, but the A's, just like this situation, it wasn't even like that at all. There's nobody who thinks it was a good idea. Not the business people, not the baseball people, not the fans, not the league office, because they've definitely had to deal with this headache repeatedly. Not the players. Nobody thinks it was a good idea. I don't even think John Fisher thinks it was a fucking good idea at this point. And so that is the part that has, in thinking about it in the last few weeks of the Coliseum here, that's the part that's really bummed me out about it the most, is that like the flagrant nature with which they chose to go about doing something like this, the shitty plan that they put together, the fact that they have to stop over in Sacramento for a couple of years because they don't actually have somewhere to put the team in Las Vegas, all of that stuff just makes it that much harder to be able to feel any level of peace and closure about the fact that this really is the end of the Coliseum. It was just such a sour taste in everybody's mouth, rightfully. That I know that we've talked about this ad nauseum, but it just right here, really at the end of the final chapter, just strikes me again and again.
Yeah. It's a disservice to the fans. It is a disservice to the players, both past and present. It is a disservice to the thousands of stadium workers who have filled that stadium over the last few decades. And it's a service to the owner, who will get to cash out finally.
I guess.
Maybe.
I
don't know.
Time to cash out now that I've tanked the franchise value and moved it to a place that nobody thinks it should be. Like, what? I don't know. We'll talk about this more, obviously, in the offseason as we learn more about what their actual plan is to exhibit Major League Baseball games there in a matter of 6 months. You know, like that's 6 months away from where they actually have to host Major League Baseball games.
Mm-hmm.
That's not that much time.
Good luck, John. That's all I want to say. You know, like it's been fun.
There was scaffolding on the elementary school across the street from where I live for like the first 2 years that I lived there. You know what I mean? Like these things don't happen fast. All they were doing was updating the facade. They were not doing anything foundational. All right. Well, hey.
On that note,
it's good to have you back. It's good to have proof of life.
Yeah.
This episode went in a lot of different places, but that's kind of what I was expecting.
It was just good to sit back down with you, Bob.
Yeah. I can't wait to do a pod back again in person, since this pod was largely interrupted by a terrible internet connection, and I hope that listeners couldn't tell. If you'd like to reach out, it's tippingpitchespod@gmail.com. You can call our voicemail 785-422-5881. Next week on the show, honestly, we'll see if I'm still alive, because it will be one day after my 100-mile bike ride from Philadelphia to the Jersey Shore. So we'll see how I bounce back from that. I think that we're due a Patreon episode though this week.
I think so, yeah.
So patreon.com/tippingpitches. You sign up for our Patreon at the highest tier. You can get access to the episode that we will do later this week. We usually release those on Thursday morning or late Wednesday night. And that's 3 Up, 3 Down. That's the segment that we do to fill out those episodes. The old segment of ours where we choose 3 good things, 3 bad things, 3 things that are adding joy, 3 things that are taking joy away.
Hey, I just want to say, great job with Hannah filling in.
Thanks. Hannah's a real one, you know. She makes it easy. She was there to play. You know, she wanted to do 3 Up, 3 Down.
Yeah, I know.
She was not just like, what is this? No, she was like, she got the bit.
Yeah.
As somebody who used to host a video series that was like bit oriented, you know, the bandwagon, RIP to the bandwagon.
Mm-hmm.
She understood the bit.
She did.
If you sign up for our Patreon, you will get access to that episode as well as the entire back catalog of our Patreon episodes. There's just a lot of bangers in there, so I recommend you go check that out if you have the means and are feeling like it. Outside of that, any more Kevin Costner quotes you want to share before we get on here? Have you tapped in on Horizon and American Saga Part 1 yet?
I have not. Should I? Is it worth it?
Time to clear 3.5 hours from your schedule, dog.
All right. I'm not going to the Mets game with you tonight then. Sorry.
Yo, I saw 8 movies at New York Film Festival in the last 3 days.
Jesus Christ.
Like 4 of which were 3 hours. You know, I'm doing the work.
You are doing the work. No one wants to work anymore, but you do, Bob.
All I'm saying is you can watch 1 3-hour American classic, Horizon and American Saga Part 1.
There's lots of free ads on this one. Just got to say.
Yeah, well, we haven't had any chance to do free ads for the last couple weeks.
That's true.
The advertisers are getting mad. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We will talk to you soon.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alex Rodriguez. Tipping Pitches.
Tipping Pitches.
This is the one that I love the most.
Tipping Pitches.
So we'll see you next week. See ya!